Welcome to the summer edition of the Sprint to Success with Design Thinking podcast.
How do you navigate change? It's a question we think about often, and one that today's world expects us to be comfortable with. The challenge, however, is where do you begin, and how do you develop the mindset and skill set to be successful? Welcome, everyone, to the Sprint to Success with Design Thinking podcast. I'm your host, Saba Kidwai. Join me each week as I share the stories and strategies from the world's leading researchers and practitioners about why they believe the answer lies in practicing design thinking.
To be full transparency, I'm still conflicted on it. And it's something I talk about with my parents. After high school, took 2 gap years. The first year was a medical gap year to really make up upon like the whole semester I had missed from my hospital, etc. And I've always wanted, like, my dream school was to go to Harvard. Like, that was my dream ever since I was a child. And I really wanted to be the candidate that fit perfectly. And I knew with like my background and my situation, it wasn't the right time for me. So I took a gap year. And then what I did was that, like, I wanted to gain nonprofit experience. So I worked. And I had never been so proud of myself. And like, I've never had like that self-discovery journey at school at all. Really being able to work and find what I truly am passionate about. And then starting at no sleep, like, I got adulthood 101 prior to starting college. And I recommend gap years for anybody, because a lot of times it's like the way it's college is like you go after high school and then you discover what you want to do. And then maybe your major has nothing to do with what you actually want to pursue. So gap year will really allow you to get that work experience and see, like, is this something I want to do? And then surprisingly enough, when I started my journey with Columbia, I ended up taking a semester off this semester because I value education so much. I have, this, again, great privilege of being able to get an education from universities such as Columbia. And I love what I'm studying, human rights. But I always struggle with, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and I don't want to fail college. How do I balance it? And this is still something I'm trying to discover. Like, what is it worth? I want to do these projects, but am I able to continue with them when I'm really at school and I'm a full-time student? So it's something I struggle with, but I know a lot of college students struggle with too. So that's my full and transparent answer. I talk about this with my parents all the time because they're very much like school. And I'm like, I want to do both.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because it seems like you have been able to do both. And one of the things that really strikes me is your confidence in being able to say, I'm going to take a gap year or I'm going to take a semester off, because I think even that decision is so difficult for so many. Can you tell us a little bit about, okay, so you said your first gap year was a medical year, but then you said you took a second one. Tell me a little bit about what gives you the confidence to want to have taken a gap year or to say, hey, I'm going to take a semester off to do something. And then how do you go about structuring your time and thinking about what you're going to do?
I think the confidence comes with like having set goals. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, right? Like, I don't have this career path for me, but I know what I want to do right now. And to me, that seems so available to me to pursue it. So what happens is, like, when I wanted to do the gap year, I knew exactly what I wanted to do to get to where I wanted to in the short term. So I didn't plan for taking 2 years, but then mid first year, I was like, okay, I'm not ready to fully, launch and no sleep. There's still so much work to be done. I'm still getting so much experience. I'm like, okay, I need another year. And the thing is, like, I know this is hard, especially with my parents. I just ask them to trust me. I've talked about this before, but my school principal had a lone interview with me and then also an interview with my parents, like, please don't let her take the gap year. And so many people did that. The funny stat is, like, I was the first person in the 45 years that my school was open to ever take a gap year. And like, I remember very clearly in one of my classes, like, a teacher mentioned that I had failed somehow because I didn't continue to any college at all, not even community college. So it's like, for me, none of those strike me because I knew, like, I had a plan of this is where I want to get to. But that also comes from like doing the research, of course, and really having that mindset that I'm young. I'm like pretty young. And if I fail, I fail. Like, I just want to learn. It's okay for me to fail. but also having a good support system. Because if I didn't have that good support system, I wouldn't be able to be confident. And it's hard also financially. So I understand that. But for me, it was like really being on hustle mode and having, a family who's supportive of me and just risking it and just saying, like, I just want to do it. I know this is what my calling is. I'm just going to go for it.
It's your turn to join the conversation by sharing what you enjoyed or what questions you still have. In a world where time and attention are so valuable, thank you for choosing to listen and for being a part of our Sprint to Success with Design Thinking community.